Chapter 10, Children Who Have Special Gifts and Talents. What is giftedness? Traditionally, giftedness was considered exceptional intellectual abilities. Each culture, though, defines giftedness based on what it values. So culture, for example, in rural Africa might have different definitions of giftedness than a very urban area like Los Angeles. IQ tests have been, of course, the traditional measure of giftedness in the United States. Also, being developmentally advanced compared to peers is another issue or another criteria. Something to keep in mind is that IQ is not fixed. Young students may have the potential for a higher IQ, but if it's not nurtured, they're not going to achieve a high level of production and performance. Another way of looking at intelligence that's not traditional would be Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences, of which there are many. Some of them we use traditionally, like linguistic and logical mathematical. These are what we traditionally consider intelligence when we measured in the traditional IQ tests, along with, to some extent, spatial intelligence. But there are many other ways an individual can be intelligent, with musical skills, bodily kinesthetic skills, their interpersonal skills in interacting with other people, and their intrapersonal skills are knowing a lot about themselves, their naturalistic skills in regards to the world, the natural world around them, and then their existential skills or their thought processes about why are we here, what's the nature of existence, so the philosophical aspects of life. When we look at the information processing model for special gifts and talents, we can see that executive functioning is definitely the primary area involved under thinking and reasoning, their memory skills, their classification skills, their association skills, their responding skills, and then their evaluation skills, with secondarily speaking and writing skills. There are also developmental factors. The efficiency of the interconnectiveness of the brain may be what allows giftedness to happen. It does appear to have a genetic link, and families are key in the development of the abilities of the gifted child. So if a child is gifted, some families have the options to provide a very rich and enhanced learning environment that can facilitate and support that, whereas other families may not have those resources. Also, the gender disparities in children identified as gifted are often likely due to societal expectations instead of actual abilities. So points of view, for example, that girls can't be talented in math and boys shouldn't do other things that maybe are viewed as traditional roles for females. Social and emotional development of special gifts and talents. Generally, students with special gifts and talents are well adapted and socially well adjusted, although they do sometimes have a tendency for perfectionism and don't want to fail, and you can find out more information about that on page 327 of your text. And this perfectionism and never wanting to fail might make students more prone to mental illness, including depression and suicide. Although others feel that the special gifts and talented cognitive abilities have a protective quality, and so there are different perspectives on this. Terman was a researcher that followed gifted and talented children over their lifespans, the same children, and found that students with high intelligence did well in nearly all areas as adults. Creativity can be another component of special gifts and talents, and creativity is the ability to generate ideas, products, or solutions that are considered novel or unique and useful for a given problem, situation, or context. So aspects of creativity involve generating ideas, being able to dig deeper into ideas, having the courage to explore ideas, and then listening to one's inner voice or following what you want to do. There is some concern that trends towards higher stakes testing will so narrow the curriculum that creativity will be stifled. And in fact, in the United States, the age for the highest level of creativity is actually age 4, because in our K through 12 system, we tend to stifle creativity. So identifying students with special gifts and talents. IQ tests alone are not an adequate ID measure. Other measures need to be used as well, both objective, which is the IQ test, but also subjective methods must be used. So talent is typically assessed through evaluation of performance and a student's work over time, and also not just looking at test scores, but actually products of their work. Some students do not perform to their expected potential, and these underachievers who really have special gifts and talents need special support to reach their potential. They might be underachieving because they feel inferior, they have lower self-confidence, they may not be an individual that perseveres very well, and they might have less of a sense of long-term life goals. Diversity is also an issue in identifying special gifts and talented. Culturally diverse students may be overlooked in standard assessments for special gifts and talents. And so a good way of addressing particularly this issue is by providing high quality early childhood programs where their gifts and talents can be discerned and facilitated and supported, and this can help parents advocate for their children when they enter the K through 12 system. Also, instructional strategies such as problem-based learning can help these students excel. And some students with disabilities will also be gifted and talented. And these students may be overlooked because of their disability. They might have learning disabilities or have autism spectrum disorder or Asperger's. So then for our organizational structures to support children with special gifts and talents, the RTI for students with these, Tier 1 would be special assignments within the regular classroom using the universal designs for learning strategies. Tier 2 might be to accelerate their program, provide services in resource rooms, and use cluster groupings. And Tier 3 may be residential schools or homeschooling. Residential schools for science and math are actually provided in 10 different states in the United States. And in regards to homeschooling, states vary in their acceptance and support of this approach. For example, in California, California is very supportive of homeschooling as long as children take regular achievement tests to show their progress, whereas the state of Mississippi is not supportive and does not provide help for parents with curriculum, and really would prefer children be in formal school settings. Originally, homeschooling was more religious based, and internet, though, has made the process easier for parents, and there's a lot of support programs that parents can utilize to be very effective in the homeschooling process. Acceleration is a technique that can be used for children with special gifts and talents. This allows students to move more rapidly through standard curriculum. They could maybe be admitted to school early if their gifts and talents are intellectually and they're intellectual and they're more socially mature. They might skip grades one semester or year. Their grades might be telescoped, where they cover standard material in less time so they can move forward. They might be in advanced placement classes where college courses are offered in high school. They might be in a dual enrollment program where they're enrolled in college and high school at the same time, or they could participate in an early college admission program as young as age 13. Some other curriculum and instruction approaches might be advanced placement, 30 courses and exams, allow high school students to complete college courses, international bachelor's programs, which have rigorous pre-university coursework, and then the integrated curriculum model, which emphasizes advanced content and higher ordered thinking and processing, and provides real-world applications in that curriculum. Another approach is curriculum compacting, where it allows students to show what they know and then move on to more advanced content when they're ready rather than waiting for the rest of the class. Problem-based learning, which we mentioned before, which presents a problem where the solution is not stated, and this helps make the student stakeholders in the problem, and the instructor plays the role of a coach, not an information provider. There's also the issue of adapting to cultural differences. So diverse students need special supports as they are frequently underserved. So we need to assist children in understanding and respecting their own culture and focus on gifted and talented individuals from the child's culture. So maybe bring up some case studies of historical figures from their culture that were gifted and talented. And also include essential components of intensity and duration as they're appropriate. So family and lifespan issues. Most individuals with special gifts and talents will find career opportunities are many and varied. Those in the arts may have a more difficult time finding stability due to limited job opportunities. And one major consideration for students with special gifts and talents is the additional financial burden incurred by an extended education and delayed entry into the job market. So their parents will need to support them possibly for a longer period of time.